Hey, what is up, guys? Eric Thayne here. Welcome to this webinar. Quick check here. I want to make sure that everybody can see the slide on the screen and you can hear me. If you can, give me a big yes in the chat so that I know that everything's working. And then once I get that from you, I will know that we are ready to start. Okay, we got some yeses coming in. Sounds like you guys can hear me and you can see this screen. Awesome. Well, welcome to this webinar. I'm excited about this. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go through some really cool stuff for you guys today, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to give everybody a minute to just get logged in. Let me just say something right off the bat. I want you guys to know that I am not feeling super well today. So today's been a little bit crazy. I was pretty much up all night throwing up. And I've been a little bit off today. So if I'm a little bit low key, please bear with me. I'm still going to go forward with the webinar and we'll give out all the juicy details. So I'm here. We're going to make it happen and let's go for it. In fact, while we're waiting for people to log in, go ahead and type in the chat, where are you from? City and state or country if you're outside of the country. Let's see where everybody's at in here. We've got a few people jumping in and it's the numbers going up really fast. So we've got a lot more people still logging in. Let me know where you're from. Christine, wow, she's from Hawaii. Dude, I love Hawaii. It's beautiful. Carrie from Louisville, Kentucky. David, Las Vegas, Nevada. Aramis, Tampa, Florida. Okay, now they're coming in. New York, Gotham City, Winston-Salem, Lafayette, Rapid City, Campbell, Ohio, Atlanta, Georgia, Moore, Oklahoma. This is really good practice for me on my state acronyms. Yeah. Cool. Phoenix. I was born in Phoenix. Great place. San Diego, California. Oh, I love it there too. Beautiful. Awesome, guys. Thanks for doing that. It's good to know that everybody can hear me. You can see me. Not me, but you can see my slides. I'm not letting you see me today because I look like absolute death. So we're going to leave the camera off for this one. But let's get started, okay? So today, what we're going to be talking about is how to shoot cinematic videos that attract high-paying clients without spending a dime on new camera gear, right? So now I'm guessing that for a lot of you, this probably isn't your first webinar or your first attempt at learning cinematography or business. So the first thing that I want to make clear is that if you have tried to learn how to make cinematic videos in the past and you feel like you've failed at it, it's not your fault. Okay, there's a ton of information out there, some of it good, some of it bad, but it can be really confusing trying to weed through all of it. And a lot of times that information overload can actually waste your time and keep you from having success. So it's okay. If you've been worried in the past year that that you can't be successful as a filmmaker, or maybe you're just not cut out for this, I want to put those fears to rest. You can do this. You just need the right person to explain it to you. And today I'm going to show you how. You see, Hollywood wants you to believe that the only way to be successful as a filmmaker is to spend decades of your life working your butt off and slowly working your way up the ladder to the top. They want you to believe that you need a degree in film and then to spend years learning your craft to ever get to a point where your work is worth anything. But I'm here today to tell you that they're wrong. They have their own reasons for wanting you to believe that, but it's not true. And there's nothing wrong with living a lifestyle of hard work and achieving goals and that kind of thing. But I want to help you know how you can actually get to a point where you're happy with your work and you're running a successful business within a short amount of time. If you ever thought that like Hollywood or the big production agencies like actually want small production companies and freelance filmmakers like you guys to fail, you're probably right, because they don't benefit from you succeeding. They want you to believe that the only path to success is through them. Now, the difference here is that I actually care about your success, and I truly want to see you creating work that makes you happy and helps you live the dream, okay? So that's what I'm here for. I know all of you have a dream to make beautiful, amazing videos, to tell stories, and to build a thriving business that affords you a free lifestyle and make an impact on the world, really. And I want to show you how to make that happen today on this webinar. So my goal for this presentation is to help basically two types of people. For those of you that are beginners or maybe you're charging less than $1,000 for your work currently, I'm going to help you understand how you can achieve your goals of making a full-time living as a filmmaker. And more importantly, understand how you can create more cinematic looking images using the gear you already own. For those of you that are more advanced, you'll begin to understand how it's possible to start eliminating competition and start charging even higher rates and do more with your cinematography than you ever have before. My main purpose for this webinar is to help you understand two things. Basically, one, that the only way to exponentially grow your filmmaking business is by learning something that I call cinema hacking. That's nothing malicious, nothing bad, but I'm going to teach you what that is. It's just that's what I call it. And then secondly, the only way to do this is with something that I developed. It's called Cinema Mastery, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. Okay. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Eric Thayne, and I got to be honest with you right up front. I am not a famous or well-known successful filmmaker. I'm going to be totally real with you during this presentation. I'm not going to try and convince you that I'm something that I'm not. And I'm learning just like anybody else. However, I have built a successful six-figure production agency called Celadora, and we have clients that pay us anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for a 60-second commercial spot. And if I do say so myself, I think our work is pretty top-notch. Here you can see some stills from some of my recent work. And since I can't share a video here, this will have to be good enough. You can look at these. And you can view more of our work at celadorastudios.com, and you can decide for yourself what you think. But if you like our work and you think, oh man, I really want to create stuff like that, or you're interested in building a six-figure business making films, then you are in the right place. Now, a few years ago, I was a recently graduated art student, and I had just barely married my now wife. I was running a small freelance video business doing weddings, music videos, and commercial work. Unfortunately, though, I wasn't making enough to support myself, let alone my wife, so she also had to work a full-time job. How many of you guys can relate to that? Probably like a lot of you, I had dreams of becoming a well-known filmmaker, and I wanted to be able to create a thriving business so my wife wouldn't have to work and we could start our family. The problem is I was only getting jobs sporadically at best, and most of them didn't pay very well, so I wasn't able to make enough to support her, let alone a new baby, which we wanted to have kids. I was embarrassed, and I felt like I had failed as a husband. I wanted to be the breadwinner for the family, but my wife was working 40 hours a week while I was out living my dreams. Now, for some reason, I was only getting clients that were basically friends of mine, and I couldn't get them to pay me more than a few $100 for a video. I had tried raising my rates, raising my prices, but then I'd lose my clients, and then they would go and hire somebody else. And at one point, I actually realized that a lot of videographers are making a ton of money doing corporate work, but I felt like their videos all kind of looked the same. Now, don't get me wrong. I wanted to make money to support myself and my family, but I really didn't want to sell out and start making cheesy corporate videos just to make money. I wanted to make beautiful videos that could inspire people and really make them feel something, the way that movies do. So I knew that there had to be a way to use the concepts that make movies look so amazing and apply those to commercial work. I started studying everything I could about how movies are lit, how they frame the camera, how they move it, everything. I was like a sponge. I began watching movies very critically and paying attention to what were the core things that really made those movies cinematic and what things were less important. In a way, I was starting to hack the cinematography of these movies and high-end commercials, or reverse engineer them, if you will. And then I started applying those concepts to my own work. The hard part was that it seemed like there was nobody out there who would just teach me these concepts. So I ended up wasting a lot of my time just trying to figure them out on my own. However, with time, I did start figuring it out. I took those concepts and I made a few videos for my portfolio for free, and suddenly I started getting attention. I remember getting a text from one of my friends, and he said, hey, my wife and I just watched your most recent video. And she said, wow, Eric's getting really good at this. And that was an indicator to me that, you know, the videos that I was making were not just bland and like kind of going by the wayside, but like they were actually starting to catch people's attention. So I had kind of figured that out, but then came the true test. Could I get the clients? So the next client that I talked to, I told them I would charge $5,000 for the video, which was way more than I had ever charged before. And guess what? They accepted. And then I did a project for $9,000 and then $11,000 and then $15,000. Some of these companies were even firing their videographers that they had used for years and hiring me instead. And I even had a few go to their boss and ask for an increase in budget so that they could work with me. It was amazing. For the first time in my life, I made over $100,000 in 1 year. And it wasn't just about the money. I remember vividly the first time I made a video and then watching it afterwards, I literally couldn't believe that I had made that. I was actually proud of my work. How many of you guys would love to be able to create work that you look at and you feel proud of? Because my wife and I now were getting higher paying clients, she was able to quit her job and become a full-time mom. And I was able to spend more time with my family because I didn't have to do so many projects to pay the bills. And we traveled to 12 foreign countries in just 1 year. I really wanted other filmmakers to be able to learn this process that I discovered that so quickly and easily can transform your cinematography and multiply your business. So I created this thing called Cinema Mastery so that other filmmakers wouldn't have to just figure this stuff out, but instead I could just teach them. And within the first year, Cinema Mastery absolutely blew up. We had hundreds of people sign up, and they started getting amazing results in their work. Now, cinema hacking. Some of you guys are probably into music videos or maybe weddings or short films or feature films or maybe commercials. But no matter what type of films you're creating, this concept that I call cinema hacking still applies to whatever you do. Traditionally, beginner filmmakers have spent years and even decades trying to learn every single concept out there, slowly learning the skills they need to be successful, wasting really a lot of time studying useless information. And eventually, when you're 40, 50 years old, you're starting to make a career out of it. Personally, for me, though, I would rather work smarter, not harder. How many of you guys feel like you're working too hard right now and it's taking too long to get to a point where you're proud of your work? Okay. So cinema hacking actually accelerates the learning process because you focus your study and your practice on just a few core things that make the biggest difference in your work. So you don't waste a lot of time learning a bunch of fluff, and your cinematography improves actually really fast, which results in growing your business fast. And not only has this worked for me, but here's another filmmaker, Jonas, who he was on a webinar just like this one. And the top image is what his cinematography for an interview looked like before learning this process. And the bottom one is after. He said the top image is a video that I shot the first week I took the Cinema Mastery class. I already had some concepts down, but you can see the blown out windows and no detail in them whatsoever. And I had to use heavy color grading to rescue the image. The second one was today. I took total control of the shot and used some pieces of cardboard to cover the windows to be able to shoot with my lights, not the outside sunlight, and I haven't done any color grading yet. The most exciting part is that the lady's grandson came over at the end of the interview and saw the image on the camera screen and he exclaimed, "Grandma, it looks like you are in a movie." So it's working, right? How many, just look at the transformation that Jonas had from before to after. I mean, pretty incredible, pretty crazy transformation. How many of you guys would like to be able to improve your cinematography like this? All right, well, that's what we're going to talk about today in this webinar, okay? So what we're going to be covering today is this. This is what we're going to be covering in the next, 30 minutes or so, okay? This webinar is only going to be about an hour long. And so basically 3 secrets that I want to get across to you guys and help you to understand. This is kind of a different way of thinking about filmmaking and about business. So number 1, cinema hacking. You can get a $50,000 look with a $500 camera. Number 2, finding clients. There are clients in your area who are willing to pay you really good rates for your work. Have you guys ever felt like there aren't any clients in your area? Or if there are clients, they're not willing to pay good rates. They keep kind of pushing you down, pushing your rates down lower and lower, trying to get the job. Okay, I want you to know, we're going to help you understand that there are clients in your area who are willing to pay you really good for your work. And number 3, getting paid. You can close your clients on $10,000 plus jobs, even if you don't think your work is very good yet, okay? I want to help you understand that you can do this no matter where you live or what your experience level is or what camera gear you own, okay? Let's jump into it. Number 1, cinema hacking. You can get a $50,000 look with a $500 camera. How many of you guys, let's do a quick poll in the chat. Everybody respond. How many of you guys wish that you had a better camera than the one that you currently own? Be honest. And give me a sec. I'm going to go grab a drink. Okay, sorry about that. I mentioned to you guys that were on here at the beginning that I'm really not feeling well today and I got to keep hydrated. Okay, so not everybody, but it sounds like a good majority of you guys, and that's a typical thing that I hear, filmmakers want to get that new camera, the best camera out there. Now, what if I told you guys that you can actually hack, if you will, your cinematography? You can get way better images with the camera that you already have. So you can actually save all that money you would have spent on a new camera and still make better looking videos. Well, let me tell you a quick story. When I was first starting to get really serious about filmmaking, I was shooting primarily on the Canon 5D Mark III, shooting a lot of music videos and stuff. But then this new camera came out, the C100 Mark II. And I remember when this camera came out, I looked at the specs and everything about it, and I had already been shooting on Canon, and I liked the image that I was getting out of the 5D. And so I thought, you know what? This is the next logical upgrade for me. And this was going to be my first cinema camera. Okay, it was about $6,000, $6,000 to $7,000 to buy this camera, which was a lot of money for me at the time. I definitely spent more money than I should have on this new camera. But I thought, you know what? If I can get a cinema camera, my images will start to look more cinematic. I wasn't saying that out loud. It was just kind of a subconscious thought, right? Sometimes we feel that way. You look at other people's work and it looks amazing, and then you see what camera they shot it on, and then you're like, oh, well, that's why, because they shot it on a Red, or they shot it on a C100 or a cinema camera, right? And so I kind of fell into that trap, and I started shooting. I got this camera, I pre-ordered it, eventually it came, and I started shooting with it. And I got to tell you, the first things that I shot on this camera were absolutely, how do I put it, terrible. The images were flat, they were not interesting, I was not getting a really good look, the lighting wasn't good. And I was so confused. I didn't understand why the images looked so bad, to the point where I actually sent the camera back to Canon and I said, what is wrong with this camera? I think there's a problem. They went ahead and did their tests and everything, and they said, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And I was pretty frustrated for a while. I thought I was like kind of mad about it. I thought, why did you create this camera? It doesn't even create that great of images, that kind of thing. A little bit embarrassing. But over time, I started working with this camera and I started shooting more and more with it. And then I realized at one point, I realized that I was able to get actually pretty amazing looks out of it. And nowadays, like I love this camera. And what I realized is that it wasn't the camera that was making my images look bad. It was me. My videos had looked better on the 5D because which was a camera that was less than half the cost of my C100. And the reason is because when I bought the C100, I expected it to do the work for me. So I kind of let my guard down and stopped doing what I knew how to do. I forgot about lighting. I forgot about composition because I expected this cinema camera to look cinematic no matter what I pointed it at. But it doesn't work like that. Now, I love the C100. I think I have some images here. No, I don't. I'm going to show you some images that I shot on it more recently. But now, because now I know that it's not the camera that makes the images. It's the filmmaker, right? And now in our commercial work, we mostly shoot on Red. But occasionally I like to go back and shoot on the C100, and I found that I can get a similar image out of the C100 as I can out of the Red, aesthetically wise. And I think that's a valuable lesson. Sometimes I like to go back and actually shoot on cheaper cameras just to show what can be done with them. I've done some stuff on the iPhone. In fact, I shot a video in Thailand on the iPhone. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you haven't, it's on my YouTube channel. I did a video with the Canon T5i. Just showing just some quick footage of my dad. But I just wanted to show people that you can actually get amazing looks out of a cheap camera. Okay. And the coolest thing is that, again, this didn't just work for me, but all kinds of people have gotten similar results. You guys remember Jonas? He was in the same boat where he always thought his camera wasn't good enough for the work that he was doing until he took a leap of faith and tried to do things this way. These two images that you're seeing here on the right were shot on the exact same camera and lens. Huge difference, right? I think this is a Panasonic GH4. Okay, so what happens is it's not the camera that makes the images, it's the filmmaker, right? Here's another example. This is kind of interesting. Here's a beautiful image that one of my cinema masters shot. And when he posted this in the group, I was like, oh, wow, that's really pretty. He's doing, I think it was for a wedding video. He wanted to get a shot of the ring. And look how cool this is, right? Looks pretty awesome. Well, I want to show you guys the behind the scenes of this shot. Okay, look at that. We've got, this is hilarious to me. We've got this black shiny thing sitting on a frying pan. There's like a sequined dress in the background creating that bokeh. And this isn't a bathroom, guys. Like, look at the toilet paper on the right. You got somebody holding an LED. We got a little bit of fill, kind of like a silver over there on the left, filling this in. But this is hilarious to me. Like, look how amazing this image is. And look at the gear that's being used. Once again, it's not about the gear. It's about the vision of the filmmaker. Now, how many of you guys would like to be able to make amazing images like this using the gear and things that you already have? I mean, think about the amount of money that you could save by not having to go out and buy new cameras and upgrade your gear, and you can still get amazing images. Now, obviously, you know, someday you want to get a better camera, but you know, for now, maybe you can get more out of the gear that you already have than you thought you could. Now, you might be thinking that this is something that is going to take a long time to learn. And the problem with most filmmakers is that when they see work that inspires them by another filmmaker, like I mentioned before, the first thing they want to know is what camera did they shoot it on, which is all wrong. Because when you learn to hack the process and the techniques the top filmmakers use, you can transform your cinematography almost instantly. And you might be wondering, well, if it's so simple to do, then why can't I just learn it on YouTube? And the truth is that you probably can. When I was first learning filmmaking, I relied heavily on YouTube and the internet in general. The problem is that there's just so much fluff out there. Like I mentioned earlier, a 20-minute YouTube video seemed like it had maybe 1 minute of useful information that I didn't know already. And I quickly realized that if I wanted to really learn, I had to go to other sources. Okay, so there you go. Cinema hacking. Now I've shown you how you guys can transform your cinematography almost instantly using the camera gear you already own. You can get a $50,000 look with a $500 camera. Now, who's excited to go and take, as soon as this webinar is over, take their camera out and try and shoot more amazing images with it and get better images out of it than you have up to this point? Okay, great. All right, here we go. Moving on to number 2. There are clients in your area who are willing to pay you really good rates for your work. All right. When I was starting out as a filmmaker, I was living in a small town in the middle of Utah. Is anybody here in Utah? Let me know in the chat if you are. I was living in a small town in the middle of Utah where honestly people are notorious for being cheap. Those of you guys that are living here in Utah, you'll know what I'm talking about, right? You can say in the chat. Okay. So naturally, I had a really hard time getting people to pay me a lot of money for my work because people just don't pay money here, right? And at first I didn't really care. You know, I thought it was cool to get paid even just a couple $100 for my first video. But eventually, when I realized that I was going to have to start making money if I ever wanted to do this long term, the couple $100 just wasn't nearly enough, right? The problem is, every time I would talk to a new client and try to tell them that I need, you know, maybe $1,000 to do a job, they would talk me down to working for the same cheap rates as before. No matter how hard I tried to raise my rates, they kept coming back down over and over again just so I could land the job. That went on for a long time until one day I got a text from my father-in-law with a video that another videographer had made for a company. He wanted to know what I thought of the video, so I watched it. And honestly, the acting was cheesy. The videography was not very good. The music choice wasn't the best. I knew that I could have done a better job if they had hired me to do the video. Now, how many of you guys have ever had this situation where you've seen a video that somebody else in your area, some of your competition or whatever, they created a video and you looked at it and you said, oh, I probably could have done a better job. I wish that they would have hired me. Okay. So I told my father-in-law, I told him what I thought about the video. And what he responded to me completely changed my life. He said they paid $10,000 for that video. I couldn't believe it. Here's a client in Utah of all places, that had paid what seemed like a fortune to me for a video that I felt like I could have done much better for probably half the cost. And at first, I was a little bit annoyed and kind of jealous that that videographer had made so much money from this job. But then I started thinking about it. Well, if one company in Utah was willing to pay that much for a video like that, then there had to be other companies that would pay that much for my work. This one experience actually created a paradigm shift in my head that completely changed my business. And within a short amount of time, I went out and started finding my own $10,000 clients. In fact, it's laughable to me now that I ever thought that there weren't clients in my area who would pay me high rates for my work. How many, you guys that are in Utah, how crazy does this sound to you that there are actually clients in Utah, of all places, who will pay you really good rates for your work? It turned out that I just didn't have the network. I didn't know them, and I hadn't done anything to get in front of them. Helping you change this mindset is one of the best things that I think I can do for you guys. Now, this is not something that only I've done. Lots of other filmmakers have had this same mindset shift that has helped them get way better clients. And this is something that I hear all the time from filmmakers. You know, there's no clients in my area, or the clients in my area are cheap. And here's a comment from Sal, who's another filmmaker. And he said, thanks all for helping me with my first wedding video. A cool little note: about a month ago, a friend of the bride asked for my pricing, gave it to her, but it was about $1,000 over her budget. She kindly declined. Now stop right there. How many of you guys are in that situation? Right? You got people asking for your pricing. You're telling them their pricing, and they're like, oh, wait, no, that's too much. I can't afford that. Okay? So now he says, she kindly declined, but after seeing the finished video, she emailed me back and now wants to do it for the original price. Before Cinemaster, I would have met her in the middle on pricing, but thankfully I didn't budge. Thanks, Eric. Now, there's so much that I could talk about, and I don't have time to do it right now as far as pricing goes. But one of the biggest things that you can do is to not budge on your pricing, to be firm and confident in the rates that you're charging. Okay? Because as I've kind of showed you guys, there are people in your area, clients, that will pay you high rates for your work. Now, you might be thinking after hearing this, well, my area is different. There really are no clients in my area. I'm in a different situation, you know, whatever. But I'm telling you, every successful filmmaker out there started out believing that. Filmmakers in New York and Los Angeles also believe that when they're starting out. I hear it all the time. Believe it or not. Even if you do live in a small town, you're probably less than a few hours from a big city, so you really have no excuse. Plus, with the power of the internet and how easy it is to travel these days, you can get jobs in other states or even overseas if you know how to do it. But remember, I felt the same way about my small town in Utah, but now I think that was ridiculous of me to ever believe. And I want you guys to kind of have that same understanding. So there you go. Now you know that you can find clients in your area that will pay you really great rates for your work. Now, let me stop here real quick and just let you guys know, I know there's some questions coming in, and I'm not able to answer all of them as we go, but we will be doing Q&A at the end of this session. So if you guys have questions about this stuff and about, you know, more how to do it and that kind of thing, just hold your questions till the end, and then I'll take those and I'll answer as many as I can. Okay. So let's talk about number 3. All right. You can close your clients on $10,000 plus jobs, even if you don't think your work is very good yet. Now let's go back again to that time when I was charging just a few $100 for my work, and I couldn't get clients to pay me any more than that. At the time, I was doing everything I could, everything that I could think of to get higher paying clients, but it just wasn't working. There was a lot of competition in my area with lots of filmmakers around me, and there was one guy in particular who it seemed like he kept stealing all of my clients. All the musicians and the companies that I wanted to work with, that I was networking with, that I was trying to advertise to, they kept hiring him. Do you guys have somebody like that in your area where it just seems like they are getting all the work for some reason, and no matter what you do, you can't get them to leave the dark side and come over to the light? That was, that was really annoying to me by itself. But what made it even worse is that, honestly, his work wasn't even that good to me. And I know that's typical when you're trying to run your own business and you think everybody else isn't as good as you, and whatever. But I got to tell you, for real, like, it just wasn't that great. And this frustrated me for the longest time, because it was like these clients couldn't tell the difference between something that was cinematic and high quality and something that wasn't. It was like they were totally blind to it. And they knew who I was, they knew my work, but they kept going back to that same guy who seemed to me like stole all of my work. Do you guys feel like the clients in your area are kind of blind to what actually looks good and what doesn't look good? It's frustrating, huh? Now, one time I actually ran into this guy and I had an opportunity to chat with him, and I actually asked him, I asked him, how much do you typically charge for your work? And he said this. He said, we won't touch anything less than $1,000, but we usually get jobs that are closer to $10,000. And that was crazy to me. At first, I actually doubted it. I thought that he was just making that up, but later I found out it was actually true. And that day I made a realization that kind of made a big shift in my business. And that realization was that the value of your work is not always correlated with the quality of your work. Remember that the company who paid $10,000 for that other videographer I told you about, yeah, that's the same story, right? I started seeing this trend all over the place, and there are a lot of filmmakers out there who make amazing work, ones that you look up to and you think that they're so successful, but in reality, they're just barely getting by. On the flip side, I know a lot of filmmakers who are running what look like very unknown small town production companies who are actually doing very well. Once again, thanks for your questions and your comments, guys. If you have questions, just hold on to them until the end. And once I'm done with this, I'll just go through and answer them for you. Okay. I'll stay as long as I need to answer your questions. I've taught this concept to quite a few other filmmakers, and I've seen firsthand how understanding this one concept can completely change your business. Here's a few examples. Brian said, filming my first paid gig as a DP next weekend, getting my full day rate of $650 per day. For some of you, that might sound great. It might sound like you would love to get $650 a day. Some of you, you're already at that point. Steven said, the principals in the class just helped me nail down a $7,500 contract with a Chinese company, which I'm really excited about. Once we shoot, I'd love to get some critical analysis of the videos I'm producing. Okay, $7,500 contract. Who here wants to get a client to pay them $7,500 for a video, for one video? Josue said, thanks to what Cinema Master has been teaching me, not only have I been doubling my normal rate, I actually tripled it. I feel like my content is definitely worth the price and would still like to improve with it all. And that's the kicker right there. I feel like my content is worth the price, but I still want to improve, right? Now, so I've taught this to a lot of filmmakers, and you might think this is kind of funny, but I want to say something here. I wonder if you guys have ever felt like you're not cool enough to be a successful filmmaker. Like you have this vision of a good-looking, well-dressed businessman going in to make the sale with a huge company, and you don't feel like that's you. Has anybody ever felt that way? I just want to know. And don't be embarrassed. I know it sounds kind of funny, but I think it's a real thing. So Leonard says, I'm an award-winning filmmaker and still not sure about my work. That never changes, right? Jeans and a blazer for me. Awesome. Okay, a couple of you think that you're really cool. All right. But some of you might feel that way. Like, you're not really cool enough for this. You don't fit the mold of the filmmaker, right? And well, I used to feel the same way, actually, and I still do occasionally. I'm kind of a nerd, actually. You guys are gonna laugh at this, but I seriously used to think that I couldn't be taken seriously as a filmmaker unless I could grow great facial hair, and I can't. I'm serious. So I seriously, like, I see all these filmmakers that are so cool and they're so well known and famous and successful, and they all have great beards. And as a man, it's kind of sad not being able to grow a beard like that. I'm serious. Like, I used to feel that way. But it's not true. I want you guys to know, like, I'm not that cool, but I've been able to still be at least a little bit successful. So don't believe that if you are feeling that way, because you can do this. Okay. Now, so there you go. There you go. I've shown you how you guys can close your clients on $10,000 plus jobs, even if you don't think your work is very good yet. And this is really important to understand. Now, Thayne says, grow a man bun. I actually used to have a man bun. I had to do something to make me different, right? You guys are awesome. So that's that. Again, I'm kind of flying through this right now. As I mentioned to you guys at the beginning of the webinar, I'm really not feeling well today, and so I want to kind of go through this quickly, but not skipping over anything. And again, I'll stick around for Q&A at the end if you guys have questions. Everybody needs a beard. Oh boy. So I have some questions for you. Do you guys feel like if you followed what I showed you kind of in secret number 1 and learned how to make amazing videos with the gear you already have, and then you did what I told you in secret number 2 and found great clients in your local area, and then used secret number 3 to get those clients to pay you high rates for your work, do you think that you could be successful? Let me know. Tell me in the chat. Okay, awesome. So let me ask you a question. How many of you guys are excited about what we just talked about? Okay, how many of you guys are feeling a little bit overwhelmed because we've covered a lot? Now, an hour is not a lot of time to cover very much, but I've tried to go through as much as I can within this amount of time and help you kind of break down some of these limiting beliefs. How do you guys feel like you're a little bit overwhelmed because we've covered so much and you're not really sure what to do next? Some of you guys are good. Okay, great. Good. Cover more. Again, we'll do a little bit of Q&A at the end if you guys want any more information. Okay. Now, that's okay because honestly, it's impossible for me to show you everything that you need to get results in a 60-minute webinar. But I've tried to cover as much as possible. And so what I've done is I've created a special package for you guys that are ready to move forward and want to implement this stuff in your business right away. So is it all right if I spend maybe 10 minutes with you going over a very special offer that I created for you guys to help you implement this stuff? Let me know in the chat. Is that okay? Because if not, like, that's fine. I already know this stuff, but this isn't about me. This is for you. So are you okay if I spend 10 minutes to show you how it can change your business and your life? Okay, cool. So this is Cinema Mastery. I'm just going to take maybe 10 minutes here and tell you about this amazing program. It's called Cinema Mastery. Now, in Cinema Mastery, what you get is you're going to get 15 hours of main content. Now, Cinema Mastery contains everything you need to know in order to, like I said, hack your cinematography in your business and to become a cinema master. Here's a little bit of what we cover in the course. We've got, the first module goes over your overview and your camera settings. Okay. We're going to talk about camera settings. Second, we're going to talk about shooting fundamentals, your, creating moods with your composition, camera movement, that kind of thing. We're talking about lighting tools. Like, lighting is so important to your cinematography, right? Maintaining control of your lighting, understanding how light works and what tools you can use for the job, and then knowing how to use those tools and get the right put them in the right places to get the right moods and create the right techniques, right? We're talking about production design, module 5. So you're going to learn about how to get the big look and using even cheap camera gear, how you can add production value and make your videos look amazing. Audio, guys, is so important to your cinematography. It actually changes the way that people look at your cinematography, and they think that it looks better if it sounds better. So understanding how to use the right microphones, put them in the right place, and get clear audio is super important. In number 7, we're going to talk about my editing workflow and learning basic color theory and color grading, how you can make your images look really cinematic with color grading. And then, of course, business development, how to work less and make more, how to get into a business mindset, acquiring and following up with leads, these kinds of things that you're going to learn how to do. Now, let me show you some other people who have gone through this and have gotten some big wins out of it. Actually, I asked a few people and I said, all of them, I said, hey, what is the biggest win that you've gotten out of Cinema Mastery since joining? And John says, following your advice on going where your clients are and focusing on networking and business has had drastic effects. In the past 3 weeks has led to writing out 12 creative proposals to prospective clients. How many of you guys would love to have 12 creative proposals written out in just a few weeks? Walter says going from struggling to collect $200 to $400 for clients' music videos and horribly shaky footage to brides writing $2,000 checks for their cinematic highlight videos. Are there any wedding videographers here? How would you like to be able to charge $2,000 and up for your wedding videos? Nick said he got a Tonight Show internship. Used your techniques for my submission video that wowed them into giving me the job. Forever indebted. Maybe some of you guys would like to work at the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Brian, going from shooting okay video projects to landing a $5,800 Kickstarter video, and I'm about to start my second short film project as a DP. Who here would like to be paid $5,800 to do one Kickstarter video? Mark, shooting underwater with DP Howard Hall for his next Netflix moving art feature and lining up some good paying commercial clients. Anybody here interested in shooting content for Netflix? I'm just trying to show you guys like this works for all experience levels. Okay. Greg, this one's kind of funny. Finding value in what I do. It's beyond my imagination that I'm getting over $2,000 for videos. I remember scraping dead fish out of the tanks in the pet section at Walmart. I get to do what I love and I get paid for it. Any of you guys working at Walmart currently and you want to quit your job because you don't like it and you'd rather do this full time and get paid $2,000 and up for your videos? And lastly, Henry, not selling myself short anymore and learning to say no to people who expect our craft to be dirt cheap or free. This is so important. And realizing that this hobby can be a career. It's opened up my mind to a huge shift. Very exciting stuff. No more 9 to 5 for me. Maybe some of you guys are currently working a full-time job and this is kind of a hobby right now, but you want to get to the point where it can actually be a career for you. So who's this for? I want to go back and make sure that you realize who this program is for. Cinema Mastery is really great for those who are just starting out and for those who are already somewhat successful and want to scale their business. This works for all types of commercial filmmakers, whether you're shooting music videos, commercials, wedding videos, documentaries, feature films, and it works no matter what type of camera you own. Again, we're working with camera gear you already own, whether it's a Red or an iPhone. You could still apply these concepts and make great videos. Now, you might be thinking that you can't get started with this because you can't afford it. And I understand that because I get that, but I want you to understand why that's a mistake that will actually hold you back from success. You see, most filmmakers, when they want to grow their business, the first thing they do is try to figure out what camera to buy next. How many of you guys are thinking about what camera you're going to buy next? And then what they end up doing is wasting a bunch of money on it. Well, in this course, I actually teach you how to make your videos look better using the gear that you already have, so you end up saving a ton of money that you would have spent otherwise on camera gear. Plus, you're going to learn how to get much higher paying clients in your business. So not only do you save a ton of money, but you're also going to see a return on your investment, which makes it an absolute no-brainer. One of the most important things I've seen in filmmakers like you guys is that the people who invest in themselves end up becoming successful, while the people who are not willing to invest in themselves end up taking a long time to get there or never actually make it. So here's what you get. When you sign up for Cinema Mastery, you're going to get access to my entire Cinema Mastery course, total value of $11.97. But there's more. With this package, you're also going to get all the contracts, call sheets, camera recommendations, discounts, and more that you need to run your business. When you have these tools, you'll be able to run your business like a real professional. You're also going to get rid of those clients who don't pay you at the end of the job because you didn't have the right terms in your contract. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? You're also going to know what the best cameras are on the market so you don't waste money on an expensive one when a cheaper one will do the job for you. Because I will give you camera recommendations. And last but not least, you're going to get huge discounts on products and other courses that will save you a ton of money. When I was first figuring this stuff out, I had quite a few problems with clients that either wouldn't pay me or would take forever to pay me, which had a huge negative impact on my business. It doesn't feel good to do work and not get paid for it. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. And I wasted a lot of time chasing down clients trying to get them to pay. I had to spend hundreds of dollars way back when to get a lawyer to write up a contract for me so that I could get paid in a timely manner. But I don't want you guys to have to reinvent the wheel. So I now have a proven agreement document that works for any project. I'm just going to give it to you with this package. Sound cool? So when you use this stuff in your business, you not only save the time and money that I spent to develop it, but you also save potentially months or years of wasted time because you'll be running your business right the first time. There's no trial and error period for you. Now you might think, oh, I'm just fine using a homemade contract or not using one at all. But believe me, unless you have a professional contract in your business written by a certified lawyer, eventually you will get burned. And I don't want that to happen to you. Okay. Third, you're going to get, when you invest today, you're also going to get access to behind the scenes videos to show you exactly how I do this in my production company, which will help you to be more confident on set and get better looking images in your work. I actually spend a lot of money hiring behind the scenes videographers to come out and record these videos so that I can show you what it's like working on our sets. But now you'll get to be like, kind of like you're there soaking up everything we do, because I'm giving you these behind the scenes videos as a special bonus. One of the best ways to learn this stuff is to be on set when it's happening. But that's very time consuming, not to mention it's difficult to find people who will let you come be on set. So this is going to make it much faster and easier for you to be successful in your own work, because you'll be able to see how it's done. Now you might be thinking that you should be able to learn everything you need to know from the course content alone, but believe me, this is absolutely the best way to learn it. Seeing the concepts that you're learning in practice is so valuable. Okay. In addition to all the above, when you invest today, you're also going to get access to our exclusive VIP Facebook community and support group, which will allow you to get your questions answered, get feedback on your work, and network with other filmmakers. When I was starting to grow my business, I learned the value of having people around who understand what you do and can answer your questions and keep you accountable. I once spent $12,000 to be in a group just like this so I could be around other like-minded entrepreneurs, and it was the best decision I ever made. Now, you won't have to spend $12,000 because I'm going to give you access to this community as part of your membership. Whenever you have a question about the course content, or you're not sure what's wrong with the video that you're working on and you need feedback, or if you need anything else, you have a team of people supporting you, which is extremely, extremely valuable. Okay. And we're not done there, because with your investment, you're also going to get access to a 2-hour-long business master to help you to price your work, find clients that can pay, and close them on the sale finally. When I was first starting my business, I had the hardest time finding clients in my area and getting those clients to pay me high rates for my work. Us filmmakers are not naturally good at business, so I wish that I had somebody who could teach me exactly what I needed to know to make money doing what I loved, which is why I created this business masterclass for you guys, which will give you all that so you can stop missing out on those big clients. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you. The total value of this is $3,185. And obviously, I'm not going to charge you that much. But if I did charge you $3,000 for this, and all it did was finally make you successful as a filmmaker, would it be worth it to you? If all this did was help you to find clients in your local area that are willing to finally pay you proper rates for your work, would that be worth it? And what if all it did was help you to consistently land clients that pay you $10,000 and more for your work while you're working on improving your cinematography? Then would it be worth it? What do you think? Well, I had two choices with the program, okay? I could go as cheap as possible with Cinema Mastery and try to sell it to as many people as possible. But the problem is that that would actually be less valuable for you. So I decided to go with the second option, which obviously requires a slightly higher investment on your side. But in exchange for that, I can dedicate more time and energy and resources to help make sure that you are successful with this. So if you had a successfully running business, doing what you love, making beautiful cinematic commercial films that make you lots of money, what would that be worth to you? How much would you guys pay to be able to get to that point in your business? How much would you pay to have that successful business for yourself? $100. Now you know what I'm talking about, David. Okay. So you can probably see why someone would probably pay, $3,000 to get that kind of result, because it's not a cost, it's an investment, right? You've already seen how this program is easily worth $3,000, but even at half that, $1,500, which is what I've actually charged to the public, it's a great deal. But because you guys are here on this webinar with you, I'm actually going to give you a very special offer. So today, when you invest in Cinema Mastery, you're actually going to get full access to all this stuff for an entire year for just $769. And for those of you who want it, you can make just 12 monthly payments of just $97, which makes it easier for some of you guys. But keep in mind that you do save quite a bit by paying up front for the year. So right now I'm going to pull up a little button that you guys can click on if you're interested in going and checking that out. Let me pull that up real quick. Okay, so you guys should be able to see that now. And click on the button in the chat box and go there in order to sign up for this. Now let me put this kind of into perspective for you, because if you were to go out there today and buy a new professional camera for your business, you probably would spend anywhere between, $2,000 to $10,000 to get something nice. And that's not including lenses, but that camera won't actually do anything for you if you don't know the techniques to get the best image out of it. You could also go to film school to learn cinematography, but that would cost you probably around $2,000 just to take one class on one subject for one semester. An entire film school degree could easily cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So you can see how this is a way more cost-effective solution. So now you've got two choices. Choice number one is Choice number one is that you can do nothing with the information that you've learned over the last hour, and that's fine. I'm a firm believer that if you keep doing the same things you've always done, you're always going to get the same results. So you can turn off this webinar and say, well, that was nice, and go back to what you've been doing, and you won't get anything out of it. Or you can choose to take a leap of faith, just try out Cinema Mastery and see if it worked for you, because Cinema Mastery comes with a 14-day money-back guarantee. That means that you can sign up now at no risk, give the program a try, and if you don't see how it will work for you, you can let me know, and you will get a complete refund with all your money back. So you have nothing to lose. The real question is this: is it worth gambling just a few minutes of your time to check this out? Because even if it only does half of what I've claimed today, I think it still will pay for itself as soon as you sign up. All right. So here's what you're going to get one more time. You're getting the 15 hours of course content. It's going to teach you everything that you need to know about cinematography. All the contracts, the tools, the call sheets, documents, cheat sheets, everything that you need to run your business. You have access to those written by professional lawyers. Behind the scenes videos that show you exactly how I do this in my production company, and a VIP support group, which this part, most of our members say that this is the most valuable part of the whole thing. They love it. So you can get your questions answered, you can get feedback on your work, and you can ultimately know that you can do this. And lastly, the business masterclass is going to help you to price your work, to find clients that can pay and close them on the sale. And for those of you that are on the fence about this, I'm going to throw in one more bonus to help you guys make the decision. So if you guys sign up tonight, you're also going to get access to monthly masterclasses inside of Cinema Mastery. This is a really cool thing, because what it means is that we actually bring in a professional filmmaker every month to come and do a live masterclass within our group. What it means is that instead of signing up for a course like this and just going through it and then it's not valuable anymore, you're actually going to get continued learning month after month with these new master classes, and we're constantly updating the content. So just this week we had a guy named Mike Quinn, who was an actor from Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and he did this really cool master class, an hour and a half long, talking about what it's like being on the set of Star Wars. What it's like working with Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams on The Force Awakens, and with Carrie Fisher, Daisy Ridley, all these people. He talked about what the lighting is like, because he was also in Return of the Jedi, and he said he was kind of explaining what it was like back then and how it's different now, and it was just so valuable. And we do these master classes every month, and when you guys sign up, you're going to get access to that one that we did this week, all the past ones, and then plus all the new master classes that we're adding every month. Okay, this is a total value, everything, of $4,182, which is just an insane deal, because you're going to get access to all of this for just $769 for a year of access. And then again, of course, you guys know you can also do the $97 a month payments if you want. Now, so we've got about 15 minutes left on the clock for you guys to go ahead and get that. For right now, what I want to do is some Q&A. If you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and we'll go through those right now. Even if you asked them earlier, go ahead and throw them in again so that I can remember them, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A for the next 15 minutes or however long you guys need to get your questions answered. Carlia says, can you start the timer over after the webinar? I'm driving. This offer is actually going to be available for the next 2 days. So it will end Friday at midnight. So you have a little bit of time, but the sooner the better. Okay, David's asking, how do you get 20K plus clients? Well, I don't. I've never gotten a 20K plus client. We have gotten, most of our clients end up in the $10,000 to $20,000 range. And, maybe someday we'll kind of push into that realm. But for right now, we've kind of nailed our process for that and how to do these 60-second commercial videos that are, in the $10,000 to $20,000 range. And you can look at our website, Cellador Studios, to see some of those. But how we get those clients, oh man, there's just so much that goes into it. There's a lot of networking and building relationships, and a lot of stuff that we talk about in the course. But it's networking and building relationships are huge. People are going to hire the people that they know and people that they like, and that's important. So always be working on that. But also having like a good marketing strategy in place and getting your company out there so people know about it, and then following up with leads and always keeping yourself top of mind is also extremely important. Okay. Zane says, oh, this is a great question. Do you have to have a cinema lens, or can you use a kit lens to get great results? I believe that you can get great results with a kit lens. However, there is a difference. And, we like to talk about how, you can get better images with the camera that you already have. But there obviously is a difference between a kit lens and a cinema lens. Now, lenses, a lot of people go a little bit too crazy about lenses. They say it's not the camera that makes a difference, it's the lens. And so you should invest in quality glass and not so much cameras. And that is true up to an extent. Okay. I think that yes, there's a difference in quality between a cinema lens and a kit lens, but I don't think that you should just assume that you can't make great work if all you have is a kit lens. Does that make sense? And the difference between lenses, people talk about how the lens creates the look, right? Not the camera. And that's actually not really that true. I don't think for lower end cameras and DSLRs and lower end cinema cameras. It actually when you are on the lower end, the camera that you're using actually makes a big difference. But when you get to the high end and you're shooting on Reds and Aries and these higher end cameras, you're going to notice that the lenses that you're shooting on with those, like the cinema lenses and anamorphic lenses, you'll notice that they start to have very differing characteristics. And so the lens that you choose really matters, and it makes a big difference in the final look of your video and for the mood that you're going for. So yes, it does make a difference. But again, if you're starting out and all you have is a kit lens, then don't feel like you can't go out and do anything with it, because great things have been shot with kit lenses. Terrell, how do you go about looking for clients in general? Same thing here as I was talking about before. It comes down to a few things. One is defining who your clients are. Okay, and I'm teaching. Defining who your clients are. Who are you trying to get to hire you? Do you actually know who that is? Or are you just kind of saying anybody? Because the more you niche down, actually, the better off you'll be. Who are you trying to hire or get to hire you? Second, find out where those people are congregating. Where do they go? Where do they hang out online? Where do they go to lunch? What meetups, what events are they going to? Third, be where your clients are. Okay, go and get in front of them. If they're going to a specific meetup every week, go and be at that meetup. Go advertise at that meetup. Make sure that your company is there at those events where your clients are. And then fourth, give them lots of value. A lot of us fail by networking with clients, and we go up to them and say, hey, you should hire me because I do amazing videos and all this stuff. They don't want to know about you. They want to build relationships with people who are giving them value. And so give them value. You make yourself valuable to them and build a relationship, because that relationship will be much more valuable to you down the road than just trying to sell your services right off the bat to them. So there's some ideas. So as I stated, I have pro gear, but I'm not sure how to even approach any businesses because I never see any posts anywhere looking for any cinematographers. Yeah, I mean, you're rarely going to see people posts looking for cinematographers. What does somebody do when they want to hire a videographer? They go ask for recommendations from their friends. And so the more recommendations you're going to get and the more work you're going to get. It's all about networking, building relationships. Really big. Leonard, how about the BMPC? What about it? Like, is it? I think it's a great camera. I've seen some amazing stuff shot on that camera. If you're worried about it, don't be. Charles using FS5, cool. Does the client usually care about the type of camera? I have Sony a6300. Wonder if I should upgrade. Yes and no. Oh wait, this is a hard one. So ideally, you should be getting clients who don't care about what camera you're shooting on. If you are marketing your business correctly and you're marketing the quality of your work, as opposed to the gear that you're shooting on, then you're going to get higher quality clients. If you want people to hire you for your camera, then by all means talk about your camera. I know people that do this, that, you know, they have like the most expensive red camera and they'll go out and say, hey, look at this awesome thing that I shot on this super cool camera and these lenses, and this is what I did. And, you know, their work's not super great. It's just kind of a little bit standard looking, but they're getting hired because they have that camera gear, and consequently, their rates are pretty low. Okay. If you want to get into the higher realm where you're working with premium clients who are paying you a lot of money for your work, you're going to be working with people who don't know the difference between two different cameras. Okay. They're going to hire you because they like your work, and they're going to tell you whatever it is that you have to do to create this for us, you go ahead and do it. And that is the dream right there, is being able to work on things like that. When you do get into the higher end, there is something to be said for having there's a certain amount of you do have to impress your clients a little bit. I will say that I'll be really realistic with you. Is that if your client's paying you $20,000 for a video, you probably should be showing up with like a significant camera setup and a crew and everything. Because if you're not, there might be a little bit of a disconnect for them. So that's important to keep in mind. Guys, remember there's just 8 minutes left on the clock. If you want to sign up for this deal tonight. And continuing on questions for 8 more minutes. Could you possibly lose a client if they don't like what you'll be using to shoot their project on? Could you possibly lose a client if they don't like what you'll be using to shoot their project on? Will they feel you're less without the high-end camera gear? Once again, like if they care about the camera you're shooting on, it probably means that your work didn't impress them that much. Because you want people coming to you and saying, you know, that are impressed with your work and want you to do whatever you have to do to get your work. You know, when people have that respect for you, it's not going to matter what camera you're shooting on. And if they do feel like you're less, they might not be that great of a client. But again, like on the low end, that might be a little bit more of an issue. But you really want to build your marketing strategy that shows the quality of your work and not so much the gear that you're using. Leonard says lens, ORV camera. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Can you rephrase that? Would getting a dolly enhance better getting shots? It would enhance one type of shot, yes. Dolly is a very specific use case piece of gear that is used to get smooth flying or panning shots. And yes, it could be really good for that. If you're like starting out to develop a toolkit of gear, it wouldn't be like the first thing that I would recommend buying. And you can always rent one. Leonard, would you show up for a 10K to 20K job without a crew? Typically for a job like that, I will have a couple people on set with me. I almost always have a producer because those jobs a lot of times are managing a lot of different talent and locations and different things happening all at the same time. And so I've got a producer that I work with who helps take care of that. And he just manages all that and puts out call sheets and everything. And he's amazing and takes care of that. And then usually I'll have at least one assistant or grip on set with me so that there's somebody to help move things around, somebody that I can, have them moving lights while I'm looking through the camera, just to make things move and work a little bit faster. And then, it really, beyond that, it just depends on the demands of the job. Okay, awesome, guys. Great question. We've got 5 minutes left here before we take off, or if you don't have any more questions, we can go ahead and end early. Let me just say thanks for being here on this webinar. I hope it was helpful for you, and I hope the Q&A session is helping you kind of learn some more things. You guys are awesome for being here. But if you do have any more questions, I'll hang out for just another minute. Go ahead and type them in the chat, and I will give you the best answer I can. So what's a great startup camera to get professional photos and videos, $500 or less? One that I've always recommended to people is the Canon T5i or T2. I think you can get the T5i for $500 with a kit lens. So it's a really great starter camera. I pretty much recommend that to everybody. I started out on the T2i, which is essentially the same camera. They've now upgraded it with some new features and stuff. But that's a great camera. I shot some really good stuff on the T2i. So if you're looking for something to start with, that's $500. That's a really good place to start. And the cool thing about that is that there's obviously cheaper cameras. You can get like a GoPro or an iPhone or whatever. But the problem is that those cameras are limited in what they will allow you to, the settings will allow you to change manually, which kind of hinders your ability to really get a good look out of the camera. So the nice thing about the T5i is a $500 camera. It's basically an entry-level DSLR, but it has all of those manual controls. So you can change your shutter, your aperture, your ISO, your white balance, frame rate, all of those types of things. So that's probably what I would recommend. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for your questions, guys. And once again, thank you for being here. One last chance, if you want to, you can get access to all of this Cinema Mastery goodness, which is just awesome for just $769 for a year, which is just an insane value. And I hope you guys can take advantage of it. A few of you already have, so that's awesome. Welcome to you guys. And again, thank you for being here. I hope this is helpful for you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And you guys are awesome. Take care. If you have any other questions or need anything, feel free to email me at eric@cinemamastery.com. I'm always happy to respond and help out as much as I can. And we can chat there. So thanks for coming. We'll talk to you later, and we'll see you hopefully on the next one. Bye-bye.